We're going back to the moon. I don't know if you've heard, but the Artemis 1 mission, although it's been delayed, is still scheduled to launch us into space and to reach the moon, so that a future mission will once again see astronauts impressing their footprints on the surface of our nearest neighbor. Our story begins, perhaps, with former President John F. Kennedy, whose visionary leadership first led us to reach the moon. He spoke famously at Rice University on September 12th of 1962 about the accomplishments and aspirations and the things that we as Americans choose to do. He said, "We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we are willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one which we intend to win." As Jews, we can relate to this distinctly American sentiment of hard work to achieve our goals and hard work as an end in itself. Because it's hard work to be Jewish. For one, being Jewish means that you are frequently expected to speak on behalf of all Jews everywhere. We are all expected to explain what Judaism is to our peers, rather than take the effort themselves to learn about our holidays and traditions. It often falls on our own efforts to teach others about our faith, our traditions, and our holidays. This fact is only amplified when living in a small city like this. Many of you are or were the only Jewish person in your class at school, or the only Jewish person at your place of employment, or the only Jewish person in a club or activity or group, or perhaps you may be one of only a few in the group, but the outcome is no different. Being Jewish means that you have a lot to learn about your tradition. Whether young or old, you have to study and be prepared to answer questions about Jewish philosophy and theology, traditions, history, and politics. Being Jewish means accepting a mantle of commandments, 613 to be exact, commandments which no other people holds themselves. You hold yourself to a standard of behavior and participation in Jewish life. After all, that's why you're here today. Being Jewish is not easy. We face challenges nearly every single day of our existence. We face proselytizing neighbors who would wish to convert us and have us abandon our faith and our people in order to assimilate. We are told that according to the faith of our neighbors, our existence is wrong. We face prejudice and stereotypes. There are those who believe that Jewish people have physical horns. Yes, even this day and age, this absurd myth still persists. There are many other stereotypes that may not seem so strange or bizarre, but are no less dehumanizing. You might be told, "You look too Jewish," as though it's an insult. Or you might be told, "You don't look Jewish at all," as though that were a compliment. I wonder who else was told that they don't look Jewish. Gal Gadot, Lenny Kravitz, Scarlett Johansson, Natalie Portman, Winona Ryder, Marilyn Monroe, Sammy Davis Jr., Hedy Lamarr. Tell me, what does it look like to be Jewish? As Jews, we even face violence. One look at history will show you how serious it can be. In 1945, soon after the concentration camps were liberated, 6 Arab League nations established a boycott against the Jewish people living then in the land of Israel. That boycott has continued until this day, and with a little clever rebranding, is more popular than ever. As Jews, living publicly as Jews, we are often expected to be held accountable for the actions of Jews everywhere, or asked even to disown the land of our people's birth. As more and more of our modern life moves online, the harassment we face moves online too. It's not easy to be a Jewish young person in an online world where often the most hateful voices are amplified the most. In 1939, as the Nazis were working to remove the Jewish population from Europe, they came into Lublin, Poland, upon a group of Jews and decided that they wanted a little entertainment. You Jews, you love to sing and dance, they said. Why don't you sing and dance for us? They knew that their end was at hand, and so at first they did nothing. But then one voice from the crowd of among these Jews began to sing. Mir wollen sie überleben, überleben. Mir wollen sie überleben, überleben. We will outlive them, outlive them, outlive them. We will outlive them, outlive them, outlive them. And soon a chorus rose in this Yiddish song, which has become a mantra of our people since that day. And it's true, even from among that group who were sure they would die, some escaped and survived to tell the story and to share this song of protest, which we still sing today. We will outlive them. This is how we face our enemies. With all of the difficulties of being Jewish, why do we do it? Why do we choose over and over, every morning when we wake up, why do we choose to be Jewish? We come from a people with a history of overcoming adversity. And this gives us strength. I don't believe that it is an exaggeration or hyperbole to say that within Judaism, that Judaism contains within our vast teaching the secrets to the most profound questions of the universe and even the meaning of life. At the very least, Judaism possesses the most likely candidate for a process to unravel these mysteries. We've been carefully recording and learning and challenging and relearning the most thoughtful teachings of the wisest scholars of every generation, all committed to answering profound questions of our existence, and we've been doing it for thousands of years. We've been adding and refining and editing and updating in the most ambitious project of meaning-seeking in the history of all human civilization. There is simply no comparison, no analog. The famous 20th century rabbi, Mordechai Kaplan, said Judaism, more than a religion, a collection of faith and ideas, more than merely a people, a group of human beings that share some common ties. Judaism is a civilization. Just as we speak of the Roman civilization or the Incan civilization, we can and should speak of the Jewish civilization. Of course, the difference is that among those three, only the Jewish civilization remains today. One of the great challenges of living in a Jewish community here at the South Pole of Texas in 2022 is the level of personal responsibility that is demanded from us. No one can be Jewish for you. No one can take ownership of your Judaism other than you. It will not happen automatically. Unlike our Christian neighbors who can see their religion reflected everywhere in society, we have no such luxury. Christian children learn about their holidays, customs, and beliefs just by existing within a dominant Christian culture. Their important holidays are national holidays. Their religious beliefs are presented in society at large as the default religious beliefs. Jewish children, however, and Jewish parents must work to learn and instill Judaism. Every single one of us takes personal responsibility for our Jewish learning and our Jewish life. Our children will not see other Jewish children, will not celebrate Jewish holidays, or learn to take pride in the most basic facts about their culture and history outside of the synagogue. Our neighbors have the luxury of taking for granted that their religious institutions will continue to endure in future generations. They have the luxury of taking for granted that their religious institutions will provide for all of their spiritual needs and require nothing of them other than their presence. We have no such luxury. The practical demands of being Jewish mean that each and every one of us carries a personal responsibility for our own Judaism, as well as the Judaism of our community and our future. As the great first century Rabbi Hillel said, Im ein ani li mi li. If I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I'm only for myself, what am I? And if not now, when? Judaism is always the Judaism of now. Without Judaism in the present, the past is meaningless and the future impossible. And so we are required in the present to build our Jewish community each and every day, each and every year. We do not have the luxury to neglect our Judaism, our Jewish practices, our Jewish studies, or our Jewish institutions for even a moment. We are but a small people, a small civilization. Our population is less than a half of a percent of the world. And our land is a little more than a tenth of a percent of the land of the world. It is incumbent on each of us to continue to build and sustain our civilization. No one else will do it for you. Not here in the valley, not anywhere else in the world. No one will be Jewish for you. We do not have this luxury. Our struggle and our hardship over the centuries have made us great. The fact that we're here at all is a testament to that. Our ancestors sang about outliving their enemies. We have done it. The Third Reich of Hitler that he sought to build has long since crumbled. The Russian czars who persecuted us are no more. The Ottomans, the Crusaders, the Mamluks, the Sultans, the Caesars, the followers of Jupiter, Zeus, Molech, and Ra are each all but archaeological dust. We remain. We alone are not history. We are going to the moon. The Artemis mission, named after a once worshipped goddess of one of those lost civilizations, will have 3 passengers. While there are no human passengers, this is a test flight to analyze the modern equipment and materials which did not exist the last time that human beings went to the moon. Rather, the passengers are high-tech test dummies. Commander Munikin Campos, a portmanteau of moon and mannequin, Munikin. I didn't come up with it. Will oversee two artificial crew members, Helga and Zohar. The crew are named after the 3 teams who contributed to the mission and developed the new technology to make it possible. Commander Munikin Campos was named by the Americans in memory of a Texan NASA engineer, Arturo Campos. Helga was named by the German team who helped develop the mannequins, and Zohar was named by the Israeli team who created the Astrorad vest, which will protect Zohar and future astronauts, particularly female astronauts, from the dangerous radiation of deep space. We are a people who began as wandering immigrants in the wilderness. We learned to survive and even thrive, overcoming the oppression of nations larger and more powerful than ourselves. Perhaps it's not so unlikely, after all, that we should be the ones who learn how to survive even in the desolation of the wilderness on the surface of the moon. Judaism matters and has always mattered. Judaism has always been a choice. It has always been the more difficult choice. But we are not a people who fear difficulty. We thrive in it. We do whatever it takes to survive and to build. We built the tabernacle and we built the temple, and now we are building rockets. We innovate and we sacrifice, giving up ourselves and giving of ourselves in order to ensure that our struggle will continue in the next generation, and the next generation, and the next generation, no matter what wilderness we might face.